It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Tuesday, December the 5th. Hey, that's my brother Tom's birthday. Hey, happy birthday, Tom. He's in Colorado. He's asleep. He's not listening. But that's okay.
Podcast.
Yeah. I'll remind him later today. I'll text him and say, hey, man, I gave you the shout out. Get off my back. I'm going to see him next week, actually. I'll be in Colorado for a few days in January. Looking forward to it.
Oh,
I said
Colorado.
next week. I meant next month.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Hey, so Tuesday morning after a Monday night.
It's Tuesday.
It is Tuesday. Last night here in the Twin Cities, Tony Lee and Candace Wheeler and I and a few of our cohorts here at KQRS, we went to a little event. The Twin Cities Business had a little cocktail soiree, and we attended, and they named me coolest guy in the town.
Can you believe that?
Wow.
That was my designation. They said, Steve, you're the coolest guy in town. Was that what it was?
You got a little sash to wear.
I got a sash. I got a tiara. I don't know. I feel more like Queenie than I've ever felt.
Yeah,
I'm just excited there's still business in Minneapolis.
Apparently so. I did not get Business Person of the Year, which is honestly just a huge upset. I mean, that was like that's like Chaminade beating Virginia back in 1982.
There was an audible gasp.
Yeah.
You didn't get it.
Yeah, NC State over Houston, and then this Wozniak lady over me last night. Just a gut-wrenching. Actually, I'm not a businessman. I don't know what the hell I was doing there. But it was a nice night, and I am appreciative. I mean, it's nice to get a shout-out. And it speaks to the whole show here. It's not just me. It's all of us. And Zepp, I'm sorry you couldn't attend, but you were well represented.
Thank you. I went to that Shindigger. I saw the picture last night. You're all dressed up and looking mighty fine.
Oh, yeah.
But I think last
yeah.
time I went, it was like sweatshirt and jeans.
Well, you know,
Hello,
it's a
Nick and
different.
Josh.
There's a different vibe here now with me in town.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody's
we're
getting
all
more
dressing up. Look at all. It's formal mornings. I don't know if we sound like that, if they can hear that, but yeah, this is a formal. I've got a cummerbund on right now.
How do you spell cummerbund? I always it's actually the two M's in the middle that throws me every time I see the word printed. Isn't it double CUMM? I always say cummerbund, but I think it's actually cummerbund.
And do you
I could
put
be
the
wrong.
flaps go up or down? Which way are they supposed
It
to
depends
face?
on if you're
Are they
eating
flat?
goldfish or crackers or not.
You're right.
You
I
want to
think up.
catch. You want to catch the crackers as they drip. Because when I think goldfish, I think formal. That's me. Just good old classic. I tell you what, man. You want to watch me have a quandary? Put me in front of a vending machine with Cheez-Its and goldfish, and I will just stare at those two bags.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, because I love them both so much. And by the way, speaking of nice little grilled cheese sandwiches at that party last night, huh? Those tiny
They
little.
were too small. I'm so hungry right now. I did not purposely saved myself last night for the apps, and I just didn't eat enough, I guess.
It was kind of nice. I like not overdoing it on the grilled cheese sandwiches. And then they cut them small enough because they know they saw you coming a mile away, Candace. They're like, let's see if she flags over yet another hors d'oeuvres guy. But you restrained yourself and you acted accordingly. So Candace, did you enjoy the video speech I had prepared in advance?
You took the words out of my mouth. It was so special and professional, and you looked great.
Thanks.
You had spinach in your teeth,
So
though.
you did see it. You did see my
No, I was in the
video.
bathroom.
Oh, that's right. You were in the bathroom. Yeah. Everyone gathers around, big video screens, and it's a big day. It's a big night. We're all there. A bunch of us from KQ. We're all excited, and then boom, there I am. They have 100 of these videos, and they put mine up first, and then like literally 2 minutes later, we're standing there, and Candace comes up. She goes, "I can't wait to see your video," and I'm like, right. And is this a joke? No.
I'm sorry. I had to go. And I was wearing
88
this
to go.
jumpsuit, and it takes like 10 minutes to get on and off, so I'm really sorry.
I know.
They
What
didn't play
was
it in the bathroom? I mean, because you can do that. A lot of those places you go to, I remember one time having to get up and give a little, pitch in. I was in a video. I was supposed to just get up and say hi to everyone and welcome them there, that sort of thing. And I heard my introduction from the crapper. And that's not a good feeling. There's just, and you realize as you start to kind of reach for your pants and toilet paper, you're like, I'm not going to make it. Why would I rush this?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I know.
Sorry.
These things happen. Speaking of that jumpsuit, I mean, is that what was I mean, because I thought you looked like you had parachuted in. I was surprised.
With the jumpsuit, do you have to take the entire thing
Yeah,
off to go
you
to the
gotta
bathroom?
get naked.
Yeah, wow.
Naked.
So it's not just a ladies tinkle. It's a workout.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm sorry, Steve.
That's quite all right. I'll you know what? During the commercial break, I'll just play it for you repeatedly over and over and over again.
All right.
It was like 9 seconds of magic is what it was. Speaking of 9 seconds of magic, hey, this is important. Lowry Hill, a neighborhood just a couple of miles from where we sit right now. Mm-hmm. A home security camera caught a passerby at 3:30 in the morning, night before last, 3:30 a.m. Monday. So that's just about 26 hours ago. Not a guy walking through the neighborhood, but not one of the many women at the event last night, but an actual cougar.
Listen to this. Got a minute for you.
Well, this is not something you often see in the city. A cougar sighting less than 2 miles from downtown Minneapolis.
That's right. A big cat captured on home security footage prowling through the Lowry Hill neighborhood. It happened last night. Courtney Godfrey is live there tonight.
It's very unusual. In fact, this is only the second time in nearly 20 years that a cougar's been caught on camera here in Hennepin County, and definitely a wild experience for these neighbors in the Lowry Hill neighborhood.
All of a sudden, he's like, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe this. Check this out.
This woman says her husband had an alert from their Nest Cam around 3:30 this morning, only to check it out and see the wild animal prowling across their driveway.
There it was, clear as day, this big cat, this big cougar.
The DNR confirming that what you see in the video is indeed a cougar, with state data showing just how rare they are in Minnesota. In Hennepin County, there's only been one other time in nearly 20 years that one's been captured on camera, with experts saying they are likely from the Dakotas and just passing through.
Yeah, man. And you can see that there's video, and boy, that's a large piece of cat right there.
I wonder if there's a bunch of missing pet signs hanging up. You see that in Montana all the time. You go to certain neighborhoods and there's missing cats everywhere, and then you see there's a big cat spotted on somebody's motion cam. So I think that cougar was
I'll take my chances with a cougar. I see that, and I think to myself, yes, still, I'm more than happy to be in a place where cougars might go through your yard, but not like venomous snakes. Again, I mean, like there's no copperheads, there's no water moccasins up here, so I'll take my chances with a large mammal any day over a venomous reptile who has no heart and black eyes. I feel like I could reason with that cougar.
You think so?
Yeah.
You might be able to pet it.
If I wake up as I do, oftentimes at 2:30, 3 a.m., Chauncey's suddenly like, I gotta get outside. And I just did a poor job training the beast. And so I'll wake up and take him out. And I'm thinking, if I walk out the door and there's a cougar and I got Chauncey Gorman on a leash, I think I can reason with that animal. That's how dumb I am. I think I can land a plane and reason with a cougar. That's some total dude energy right there, boy.
Yeah. Well, while the cougar's tearing Chauncey's throat out, maybe you can make a quick getaway. Or you can always, negotiate with a cougar. I think a cheap shot of bourbon and some Marlboro cigarettes usually gets the job done.
That's whatever. You've had success clearly with that in that regard.
Hell yeah. Walter's Pub over there.
That's what I'm saying. I want to know, if everybody in that neighborhood's got to have checking their cameras, make sure they're recording. There's no way that cougar just passed through town one night and he's already back out in the wilderness. He's got to be chilling.
There's something that attracted him to that area.
If you're a cougar from the Dakotas and you're, quote, passing through, please. Yeah, the garbage up in Lowry Hill too. They're throwing away shrimp and stuff. Come on, man. I mean, there's going to be some really nice deli meats. I would imagine you're going to find all kinds of things to eat up there in the trash.
Might be up on your roof. Look up. They like to sit up there on the roofs.
Oh, they sure do. Yeah, they
all
really
right.
do.
Well, as you heard there during the report, it's Tuesday. Mike Evans coming. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Michael McDonald, and this is the KQ Morning Show.
Hey.
Man, I love Michael McDonald.
Oh, me too.
But I can't help. I'll start to sing like a man.
I mean, he was like the silver fox forever. First time I saw him, he had the silver streaks in the hair, and then the last time I saw him, still, I don't know if he's dyeing it, he must one hair at a time. Perfect.
He was like late 20s, early 30s. Going silver. Never looked back. At some point, he started to look a lot like my Uncle Larry. So, he's got that going for him, too. They just sort of merged in the middle. I see photos on the family Facebook post, and I'm like, why is Michael McDonald hanging out with my Aunt Dolores? Oh, that's Larry. Oh,
yeah. Well, you can do
my
worse
bad.
then. Looking like Michael McDonald.
Michael McDonald, 1983, gets a call from producer Ted Templeman who says, come by the studio. I'm working with Van Halen. And then he does, and they're working on the song I'll Wait. And they're kind of they're just can't put the pieces together. They've got a couple ideas. They got a melody. They got a part. They got a this and that. Ted said, hey, man, see if you can just help these guys with this song. They just can't seem to tighten all the screws. So he did. He sat down with David Lee Roth. They wrote out a lyric. Next thing you know, he gets a credit. So if you look at Van Halen's 1984, I'll Wait, written by Van Halen and Michael McDonald.
Seriously. That's
and Michael
wild.
McDonald said, just to give you a little insight into where my career was, I made more money that year as 1/5 of the writer on one song on that album as I did for writing the entire Doobie Brothers album the subsequent year.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. It was good to be around Van Halen in 1984.
What if they put his vocal on that?
Oh, are you kidding? It'd be fantastic. Oh, wait!
That would really
love comes down.
really illustrate how bad of a vocalist Diamond Dave was.
Oh, man. You know it's
get away
true.
with that.
Man, I'll listen to Michael McDonald sing anything. The highlight of Michael McDonald's career in the Gorman household was, of course, the SCTV skit where Rick Moranis, as Michael McDonald, the music video. Remember, Christopher Cross had the song Ride Like the Wind, and Michael McDonald does the a long way to go. He does that backup vocal. And SCTV made a music video as if it was a Michael McDonald song. And it's just him driving around L.A. and he runs into the studio. It's hard to explain, but he literally makes it just to the microphone right at the nick of time to sing that backup vocal repeatedly.
Right, the one line.
It's the silliest thing ever, and it's just a classic. But, yeah, that's how we were rolling in the old Gorman household back in the early 80s. SCTV, Michael McDonald, rarely were things any better than that.
Mm-hmm.
SCTV, great TV show.
Oh, so good.
Not a Hollywood show, more of a Canadian thing, but that's okay. That's okay. Let's go to the Hollywood Report. Mike Evans, pre-recorded Hollywood Report.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Mike Evans. Welcome to Tuesday. Today's report originates from Palm Springs. Well, this is not good news. Kelly Clarkson's ex, Brandon Blackstock, has already been ordered to return over $2.6 million to Kelly for doctoring the books when he was her manager.
Whoa.
And now talk of more investigations against Blackstock are pending. Movie news. There's talk of a Henry Kissinger documentary, but honestly, I just don't see it. While the Secretary of State was a genius, and there were those stories about Henry and the ladies, as great a man as he was, he's also very boring. I just don't see much public interest in a Henry Kissinger documentary. But how about this? Speaking of documentaries, there is a rumor of a documentary in the works about the underbelly world of day workers in Los Angeles who show up on street corners before dawn and are hired for very high-paying illegal activities. Some say including disposing of body parts. Whoa. The more folks I talk to who saw Napoleon, the more folks say, boy, it really stunk. Ridley Scott, the director, Joaquin Phoenix, that's a shame. And wanted to remind everybody how good Renaissance Beyonce film is, and it's playing now. I still say it's better than Taylor Swift's movie. TV news, if you haven't seen the Amazon Prime series called Sprung, you should. Hilarious. In a very twisted way. You might want to have a beer next to you when you watch it, but it's worth seeing. Other suggestions, the latest season of Botch, and since the recent death of Matthew Perry, I'd also like to suggest any season of Friends. I got to get this out of the way. Biggest farce of the last 2.5 years is this Jussie Smollett using every legal bull-showy trick to avoid the 150-day jail sentence for his racial-induced fraud. It was his intention to cause strife between two races just to gain sympathy and publicity for himself. I mean, how disgusting and unforgivable is that? Yet, Hollywood still gives him gigs and acts like he's the victim. Just shameful. But he's going to jail very soon. Last appeal, denied. It's also cost the city of Chicago $250,000 in manpower to investigate his lies and fraud. Well, a quick weather report here in Palm Springs today. Don't hate me, but it'll be 80 degrees. We'll do it again tomorrow. Mike Evans, have a great one. See ya.
Mike Evans Hollywood Report right there. I don't want it to be 80 degrees in December. Call me crazy. I like the seasons. I like the seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying that now. Check in with me in March.
Yeah, that January season, that mid-January season, that can get a little brutal.
We walked out of the event last night, driving home in that nice little snowfall. It was picturesque. It was absolutely gorgeous. I loved it.
El Nino, baby. It's going to be a warm winter.
I'll take that too. I mean, a warm winter for Minnesota is a cold winter in my world, so I'll be just fine. This is going to make perfect sense to me. I just saw something. The average pet owner has 6 pet panics a month.
Oh.
The average pet owner worries about their pet 3 times a day and goes into pet panic mode 6 times a month.
How many? What's the percentage of pet owners that are head cases?
Most of them. Yeah,
most of them really just worry about their pet that much.
Well, you have a pet, you name it, and then you give it nicknames. Once you've given a pet a nickname for not, the name isn't enough. When you're nicknaming pets, as I've done with every pet I've ever had, you got a problem. You're a mess.
I've nicknamed my motorcycle. I don't worry about it too much.
No, well, it's funny because we have pet panics because of Chauncey regularly, but he's got some underlying conditions.
Yeah.
The cats never did. My other dogs never thought twice about them. They're dogs. They're fine. They eat whatever. I don't know. I can't imagine. Like it says, a lot of people saying well, anytime if the dog doesn't want to eat, I get into a panic. I'm like, man, when my dog doesn't want to eat, it's like cause for celebration. Finally, just sit down and shut up over there, would you?
Yeah, less
worry
crap
about
to pick
Gigi
up.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would be a big worry?
Well, they eat sometimes with the eating, or if she's, coughing or something. I don't know. She does stuff that worries me sometimes, but she's usually okay.
Yeah. Yeah, she's good. I mean, a dog that size, I mean, they live forever, and they eat what's the worst thing she's ever gotten into?
Well, she ate like an onion one time, and then I freaked out because the internet said that she was going to die, but she didn't.
Well, I've learned one thing, Candace, and that's that the internet is never wrong. So you were right to worry.
Right. They're not supposed to eat chocolate, right? Chocolate bad for dogs?
No chocolate.
Yeah,
no
I know
chocolate.
A dog that ate an entire bag of Hershey's Kisses. Just fine. Just happy as. Called the vet, panicking, freaking out. They're like, they're fine. Don't believe everything you see on the internet.
Grapes and specifically raisins are terrible for dogs.
Grapes can be.
Really bad. Zelda, our former dog, who's in Catahoula heaven now, she ate like 6 of those little school lunch boxes of raisins, the little ones you put in the kids' lunch. She got about 6 of those down, and I called the vet, and they were like, oh no, bring her over right now. And we ran her over to the vet, and they gave her a shot, and they put a needle in her hip, and in less than 1 second, that dog vomited everything in her stomach.
Oh, a little
like Uma Thurman in Pulp Fiction.
It was. I went, wait. They're like, yeah. I'm like,
right in the chest.
She was supposed to. They're like, we have to induce vomiting. We're going to give her this shot. Bah! I mean, it was that fast. I was like, what is in that needle? And they wouldn't tell me.
Did they call social services because you were feeding your kids those little raisin boxes?
You know what? Now that I think back on it, it's probably for me. I love raisins.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I will eat
them?
raisins all day long. Yeah.
That's weird, dude.
Why is that weird?
To love them?
With all the tummy troubles you have, don't knock raisins, okay?
Yeah.
They do. They're going to set you free.
I don't know.
I do know. All right, enough about me and my raisin fixation. Let's look back. How about a history lesson?
So what's up? We've got to bring in Gorman.
What happened to Gorman?
He's right here.
Yeah, he's right here.
Hey, Steve.
Oh, hey, what's up?
I'll tell you what's up. Sports history on this day in the year 2000, Karl Malone of the Utah Jazz went past Wilt Chamberlain to become the second leading scorer in the NBA all time. And I tell you what, speaking of all time, he's the all-time right guy, right team with the right point guard player. Because John Stockton, who literally slept at night with visions of picks and rolls in his head, is the only reason anybody has ever cared about Karl Malone. He scored 1 billion points, and yet his game is entirely forgettable. Without John Stockton pick and roll, what good is Karl Malone? He's on no one's all-time list of anything. He's also a flaming douchebag, so that helps too when you want to forget. Oh my God, he's the worst.
Oh man,
I'm just going to base that on the fact that he
Malone Power Sports. Now I feel like a jerk.
I'm just going to base that on the fact that he impregnated a 13-year-old when he was in college, and then never, and then 30 some odd years later, it was like, yeah, I met her once, whatever. Like the kid that's wondered who her dad was her whole life. No, he's a mess. He's a piece of work.
Wow.
And again, ask anybody that really, really, really loves the game of basketball. Like no one cares. It's like he could score.
His name never comes up, does it? Ever?
Never. What did he do when it mattered in those finals? Choking, missing free throws, got picked. Jordan took that ball from him. Yeah, he was the mailman because he always delivered in the regular season.
Worst nickname ever.
I got no time for him.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Tuesday, December the 5th. We are just knee-deep in holiday bull right now, aren't we? Just all the holiday nonsense happening all around us. It's nice. I dig it. I enjoy the month of December. I'm always thrilled when it's over. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's a long march. We're started now. Like you said, we jump on the news sites in the morning. It's holiday.
Yeah.
Cougar spotted in Lowry Hill neighborhood of St. Paul or Minneapolis rather. So yeah, you're right. By the time you finally get there and you get through New Year's Eve, you just want to hibernate. That's what January is for. Football, the couch.
Yeah, it's like skiing to me. I'm excited when I put on the ski boots, and then I'm even more excited when I take them off. At the end of the day.
Amen,
the best feeling of the day is actually when you're done. Like, oh, God, I just ignored how much I was uncomfortable with those things on my feet all day.
Yeah.
Although I hear they're better now. I haven't skied since 2010, so I understand I've missed out on some recent technological updates, if you will.
Lighter composites, more comfortable. That old
look at that.
You've got to torch the cruel shoes. Remember that old Steve Martin article? That was ski boots, but yeah, things have gotten much better. But still, I just took the ski boots off yesterday, and that feels good.
I'm going to write a country song called "Rebooting the Ski Bootin'." I played on a track years ago. I got a call from a producer. He said, "Are you around? Can you come play a song today?" I said, "Sure." And in Nashville, if someone calls you for a session, you don't ask who the artist is. You just go and play. It's like, you're like, "Yeah, man, I'll be there." Because people always be like, "Well, what'd you think?" I'm like, I forgot the song as soon as we were finished with it. You just go in and play a drum track. But I played one song, and it was called "Hitching Up My Giddy Up." And I was man, I have arrived. That's a proper Nashville song right there. Reboot my ski boot. Song about the technological advances of the slalom world. It's exciting for me, man. I can tell you that. Holiday parties all around as well. I'll just come right out and say it. I don't have a lot of holiday party experience. I have holiday party experience. I don't have workplace holiday party experience. I never had, quote, a job where you would have holiday get-togethers. I just was in a band for so long, and it was a holiday anytime we weren't together is how that band operated. So I don't have those experiences of, hey, someone get a copy of my butt cheek, like you see in all the old sitcoms. I kind of missed out on the whole thing apparently because according to what I'm reading here, holiday parties at work, it's just a chance to get drunk and hit on the people you work with otherwise all year long.
That's pretty much how it goes.
Wow.
There's just a lot of misbehaving. Everybody loses their mind like, A, they've never been drunk before, and B, they've never met these people before. It's like you're at a singles bar sometimes. Most of the time, it's just, laid back fun or whatever, but it is, you talk about the loudmouth soup. I used to get into trouble with those kind of situations when I was single at a radio station. It was a lot of debauchery. But now it's just big mouth stuff. Like, yeah, you know what? I've always wanted to tell you something. That kind of thing. I'm a little too honest about how I'm feeling on the air, let alone with a couple of brews in me and a shot or two. So
I got to think if someone opens with, I've always wanted to tell you this, 9 times out of 10, you're not about to be complimented.
Right.
That's not the door opening to a heartwarming connection between you and a coworker.
Yeah.
I guess when you spend your year, being a quote professional and doing the job and going to it, then you get a couple of cocktails in you. Yeah, you probably get extra loose because you are. Everybody probably has that. Like all those things you wanted to say but didn't because it was inappropriate or just ran out of time in the day, whatever. Yeah, I can totally see it. I think right now I'm just thrilled to have been relieved of that experience in my life. I'm now I'm calling out I'll go ahead and call it. I'm name checking my privilege right here. No holiday party nightmares for me, and I'm happy about that right now. I believe, Candace, we have a caller though who wanted to share a story with us.
Yep. Chris from St. Cloud.
Chris, good morning.
Good morning.
What have you got for us?
Oh, a bad story.
Oh, I like it already.
About 5 or 6 years ago, we had a Christmas party, and I was standing at a table with a couple of coworkers, and another coworker who had been out dancing her ass off. She came walking up to us, and she had projectile vomit right at us.
Oh, my God.
I turned my head, but it ended up in my mouth.
No.
All over my face. It was so bad.
Oh, you got the vomit kiss.
Oh, so I ran to the bathroom, and then I was throwing up. And people thought I was the problem child, and I'm like, no. And went outside, whipped my shirt off. I was just covered with her vomit. It was bad.
Oh, my God.
Please tell me there was all sorts of gifts sent to you over the following months. I mean, how do you make up for throwing up on a coworker?
She gave me $25 on Monday to pay for my purse because my purse was full of vomit, so I threw that out.
Oh, jeez.
It was bad. And I didn't go to the Christmas party for about 3 years, and then COVID happened. So last year was the first year I went back. And the second year, everyone's like, why aren't you going? I'm like, because I've got PTSD.
Yeah. My God. Sure.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was bad. I can still taste it.
Oh. What it tastes like.
Oh, gross. It was sour.
Sour. Sure, that's the stomach bile. Yeah.
It was bad.
Now, what about the coworker? What about your...
Anytime I have to throw up, I just think of that story, and I'm out.
Yeah. Now, this was a coworker or a spouse of a coworker?
It was a coworker, but she no longer works with us, so that's
but
good.
What was your next interaction with her at work? How did that go on Monday morning?
Well, I didn't talk to her, and everyone thought I was being mean, and I'm like, you guys don't get it. I didn't talk to her for about 2 weeks. And
sure.
I just straight-faced walked past her, and I thought, oh, my God, I can't. And she apologized a few times, but it took me a while to talk to her.
Wow. Man.
Yeah, I watched someone puke all over a boss one time. She was crying in his arms about something. We don't even know what it was. But here's the thing. We don't see, you have your happy hour coworkers you get together, and sometimes there's some misbehaving. But a lot of these coworkers you don't see schnockered, and they get wasted, and then, they're... you find out a lot out about someone.
Jeez, man. All the gin puke and all the Christmas parties in the world, and you had to come and lay it down on me. That is brutal. Hey, do you have any idea what song was playing when this happened? I'm curious if that also triggers some PTSD anytime you hear it.
I don't remember that.
That's a blessing right there. That's
no
good
kidding.
news. All right, well, I got to say, Chris, you've set a bar really high for the rest of this show. If anybody can top that, we're throwing down the gauntlet. Well done, and I'm glad to know that you're, for the most part, past this traumatic event in your life.
Yeah, it took about 6 years, but I'm getting there.
Sure it did. All right. Well, all the best. I hope you get through this next month vomit-free, Chris. See you.
That's horrible. There was a woman I know at an office holiday party who had also thrown up all over her dress and was completely unaware of it. And just walking around making small talk with people. Just painted up.
I played a New Year's Eve party. The first time I ever played a drum kit in front of strangers was at a New Year's Eve party. And we did this party 3 times. We had 3 gigs in over a 2-year period, like New Year's Eve and then the next one and then the next one. Like that was our only 3 shows we ever played. Mm-hmm. Me and my brother and some friends in college. We were called Alfred and the Stately Wayne Manners, which was a great band name back in the 80s. It is. But at the third one of these parties, so this is New Year's Eve 85 to 86, there was a girl in the party named Robbie, and she was wearing a white dress, and she was dancing and having the time of her life. And at one point, she was dancing on a chair. She stood on a chair, a big, soft, cushiony chair, and she went right over the arm, and just bam. And she smashed her face on the floor so hard. She was so drunk. She popped up and kept dancing. And she was bleeding. I mean, it looked like the Zapruder film. Like, she was just, her face exploded. And the band stopped playing. We finished the song, and everybody in the party's like, whoa, Robbie. And she's just like, come on, let's go. And my brother looked at her. He goes, she had been wearing a white dress up to that point. He goes, Robbie, you look great in red.
Oh, nice.
That's one of the best lines in the moment I'd ever heard in my life. I was like, wow. I tell you what, man, that is truly astounding. I mean, that's something you see in a movie or like on a, that's an SNL skit, like with the vomit hose they fake, to have. Imagine the scene, not just for her running to the bathroom, but everyone else in that room then has to go, what did I just see? What am I smelling? Every part of that story is so horrific for anyone within like a 20-foot radius of ground zero, man. It's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, people, they lose it during the holiday. They just get out of their comfort, or they think they're in college again. I remember a radio station that I was working down in Iowa, and they had a keg there in the kitchen. It was a small station. We all got together at the boss's house. He has a keg in the garbage can in the kitchen there, the setup. And somebody comes in and just starts chugging beer and puked all over the keg, and they just
come on.
They just had a bunch of pizza. It was a pizza and keg party, and there's just chunks of pizza everywhere. It was hard to go back to that keg even after it was cleaned up and want to draw beer. We had a guy at the KQ party years ago that passed out in a. I'm just going to say it was at a bowling alley. Mm-hmm. And so he's, the bowling alley bench there. There's a bench, and he passes out on his side. And right there on his rear end is the big brown poop stain.
Oh,
yeah, he sharded. And of course, we made it into poster size and hung it all over the radio station. Yeah,
you did.
Yeah, he was just known as, the brown spot.
Badge of honor.
You guys literally the three of you have been to Nashville recently with the KQ Morning Show. You know what Broadway is. It's just honky-tonk after honky-tonk. It's a vomitorium, like from the old Roman Empire, basically, at night. And my favorite, this wasn't a holiday party, but when Connell was in 7th grade, a classmate had her bat mitzvah, and they rented out a part of the Hard Rock Cafe, a room for a big party, on a Saturday night in Nashville. That's at the bottom of Broadway at the river. Like, you have to go through, you have to do the entire Broadway to get to the Hard Rock. It's the last building on the street. And the party ended at 11 p.m. on a Saturday night. So I have to go pick him up, and I'm going to grab he and two of his buddies. And it takes like 40 minutes to go 3 miles just to get there. I left the house at 10, and I got there right inside. It was ridiculous. And it's just raging, just a typical Saturday night. It's just insane. And 3 boys hop in the backseat of my car, and as I'm making my way back up Broadway, one of the guys goes, "Look!" And they all look, and there's just a guy on the street corner just throwing up like to beat the band, just puking. And they all go, "Yeah!" And they're all like celebrating. We go 1 block, and then another one of the boys goes, "Oh my God, look!" And we look out, and there's a woman just puking her guts out. And the boys are like high-fiving and celebrating. They got the windows down. They're yelling it. And we go 1 more block. I kid you not. It was 3 straight red lights, 3 straight adults vomiting on the street. And all 3, they were, you've never seen 3 7th grade boys happier in your life. They were just like, "This is awesome." Like, I'm like, "How was the party?" Like, "The what? I don't know. The party just started." Just watching drunk adults just humiliate themselves in the middle of the street. That was a dream night for those kids.
Like seeing a shooting star.
We're talking embarrassing holiday party stories at work, and Cindy Larson is on our KQ Facebook page and said she's just here for the stories. There's a couple of good ones. Tony I got talked into getting my armpits waxed at our company party.
What?
Kelly Langer, little Kelly Langer. I was drinking whiskey and decided to redneck wrestle every guy there. I'm 5'2". Ended up with a shattered elbow and a date. LOL.
Oh, my God.
Hey, keep them coming this morning on the talk and text line 651-989-ROCK. We're talking holiday party disasters. Maybe something really special happened. We'll even listen to one of those. Give us a call here. We might have to get in this story, though. I always fantasize, because I'm weird, about having a deathbed confession, or at least pranking my family with a good deathbed confession.
Oh, yeah.
We've
all had those thoughts.
Right? Exactly. Well, one just happened, a mind blower. We have some audio from that story. So we'll get into all that at 7:30. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Zepp, you mentioned you always wanted to have some sort of a crazy. You thought about a deathbed confessional or a deathbed revelation, just to pull the wool over, just to give someone a wild goose chase. I've thought similarly, like if you are lucky enough to have that moment where you are you get a last moment benediction, just look at your family and say something like, "Weeping Willow." Weeping Willow. The Weeping Willow.
Oh.
And they're like, well, there was one at the house back in Maryland. We have to go to Maryland? The Weeping Willow. Just
something's buried.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Underneath the tree.
Immediately.
So weird that you brought that up. That's the one thing I couldn't say. They would know exactly what I'm talking about because of my battle with the Weeping Willow. I told on the story on the air one time about my neighbor who planted one in my view of the lake.
Oh, that's right.
I was almost going to kill that tree like 20 times. I took the high road, which is not my road to travel generally. But anyway, yeah, maybe something like that. I wanted to send them on, you're right, a wild goose chase. That's what it's all about. Like I buried the money.
Yeah.
And then just cack. I found a bunch of money. I found a stash of money when I was out in the woods hunting one time. A couple of $1 million in, untraceable bills. And and then cack off,
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Where would Dad hide that?
Just leave them wanting more. Make no mistake about it. Right. This is all because of a pretty wild story this week. A woman from Boston had this exact experience. Her dad, not right on his deathbed, but a few weeks out, he was diagnosed with lung cancer. He was in very, very poor, failing health. He just let go with a whopper to his wife and his adult daughter. Do we have audio on this, Zepp, or are we just talking about this story?
No, we've got the daughter right here.
Yeah.
It was spring of 2021, and one afternoon, my dad just looked over at my mom and I as we were watching NCIS and said, "Ladies, just in case it comes up after I pass, I had to change my name when I moved here. No one can find out because the authorities are probably still looking for me, but just so you know." And the first thing I saw was headlines that said vault teller robs bank and then 50-year hunt or something, or they'd been looking since the 70s. And I thought, oh my God, my life is a Lifetime movie. He essentially blew through all that money by the late 70s. When he met my mom, the money was gone. He was living in a modest apartment and had a job. And growing up, I mean, we weren't wealthy. We were just paycheck to paycheck. I had great parents, and I had a dad who I thought was the typical suburban dad who drives you to school and comes to every soccer game and every play. And really, he's a wanted fugitive. Like my dad is a fugitive.
Winner. Cool. All capital letters, winner.
Yeah,
Who pulls off the heist and literally gets away with it and doesn't go back to the scene of the crime and just says, that's it. I scored once, and I'm now just going to go have a regular life with a little bit of a head start. This guy, in 1969, this guy was a vault teller for a bank in Cleveland, and he walked out of work one day on a Friday, and he had a paper bag with a bottle of whiskey, a carton of cigarettes, and in the bottom of the bag, $219,000 in cash in 1969. That's almost $2 million today. He took it from the vault, took a taxi to the airport, and flew to Washington, D.C. Remember, he's from Cleveland. They didn't open that vault till Monday morning. He had a 2 full day head start. The FBI was called in. He was a wanted man. They knew who he was. They had his name. He was on the front page of papers all across the country. My man just simply went underground and stayed there for 50 years.
That's amazing.
Ted Conrad, his name, this saga began with him repeatedly watching Steve McQueen's bank heist movie, The Thomas Crown Affair. Came out the year before he did this. He just kept watching it and thought, I can do this, man. And he did it.
Wow. He told his girlfriend at the time he was thinking about robbing the bank. She never took him seriously. People were speculating that he had gone to France. A tourist in Hawaii reported, I saw him in Hawaii. It's true. No, he just went to Boston, where you can get away with anything up there. I mean, I've seen the town. I know how that goes.
Yeah, right.
You go to Boston. You got a shifty look. You just fit right in. Man, it's amazing to me that he copped to it. I mean, in case it comes out after I'm dead, I don't think anybody would have put the pieces together after just an anonymous suburban dad dies.
Right.
If he's gotten away with it all these years, I think it was really more just like, by God, I need someone to know that I'm the coolest guy ever.
Yeah, how cool to sit on that secret for so long.
I know. I couldn't do that. I'm not a secret keeper. You don't tell Zepp something if you want to keep it a secret. You tell Zepp something if you think you want to keep it a secret, but you really want it out. Yeah, all those years I would have gotten drunk and went, that wasn't a bank robbery. You want to hear about a bank robbery? By the way, she ended up loaning him $10,000 in 2014 after he had filed for bankruptcy. So, he did squander it. But, I don't know if he squandered it. I mean, he was 20 years old and he had the equivalent of almost $2 million today. Sure, he had a good time.
Check this out. So this story just came out this week, but the guy died. It was a couple years ago, May of 21, and shortly after his death. Now he was named Tom Randell when he died, but he was originally Ted Conrad. A true crime writer in Cleveland saw the obituary and she saw a photo and said, "I think that's Ted Conrad." Like all those years later, I think that's the guy. She forwarded her hunch to there was a U.S. Marshal. I'm just going to go ahead and picture Tommy Lee Jones. There was a U.S. Marshal that had been on this case for years and never found the guy. He died having his white whale, never landed the guy. Well, that U.S. Marshal's son is now a U.S. Marshal. He got the obituary forwarded to him, and he started investigating. Shows up in Boston, knocks on these people's door and says, I'm with the U.S. Marshals. I think, this is Ted Conrad, right? Wow. So they had to come clean and say, yeah, this was our dad. And the woman who we just heard, she was the daughter. She said, she was terrified. The first thing the marshal said is, you guys are not in trouble, but I need to just know what happened. I needed some information. I've got to put this thing to rest. And now all these years later, she says, the woman says, I hold nothing against my dad. It was a crime of convenience. If he wasn't working in the bank, he never would have robbed it. Like he just saw that security was lax. It was too tempting. Yeah. Her point is, it's not like he just decided I'm going to go knock off liquor stores or, he wasn't a career criminal. He just had, as they say, the crime of opportunity. It was right there. Man, I mean, and again, like you said, Zepp, do you know anybody that honestly... Like, how many people do you know that truly can keep a secret? Like, for real, honest to God, you go, this can go nowhere. You can't even tell your spouse. How many people can hold on to something forever?
Well, I don't know who that is because they're still holding on to the secret. Yeah.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah, everyone. But you're right. A lot of people, if you tell someone, don't tell anyone this, it almost always gets out.
That's the undoing of just about every conspiracy theory, because ultimately it comes down to how many people can keep a secret. That's the answer to everything everyone says about, well, it really was this and this and this and this. And I always just think, no, you're in triple digits of people who aren't going to talk. I don't believe it.
The very reason I'm so skeptical about conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
People.
That's it.
Human nature.
Yeah, we don't
hold up.
Yeah, we're not smart enough to keep secrets. It's just that simple.
And the bigger the conspiracy, the bigger, the quicker the more likely someone within that conspiracy is going to fess up, unless they've all been dealt with.
That's very true. Very true. Oh, by the way, this coming Monday, December 11th, just a heads up for anybody newly minted in a relationship, watch your back.
What happens?
Yeah, check this out. According to statisticians, you're more likely to be dumped this Monday than any other day of the year.
Oh, before the
holidays, sure.
Yep.
Right.
No obligation.
They base this. The holidays, definitely the reason behind it. You've decided you don't want your boy or girl to meet your family. You don't want to get them a present. You just can't fathom going to all the holiday parties. Yeah. Whatever the reason, December 11th is exactly 2 weeks before Christmas. That's the last possible moment to pull that relationship, pull the ripcord without looking like a douchebag for dumping them too close to the holidays. 2 weeks out, that bell, everybody's central nervous system has a little ding-dong bell, and 2 weeks before Christmas, it always rings. Not everybody answers the bell, but the bell rings.
You sweating over there, Candace?
I'm just going to put my phone on Do Not Disturb all Monday.
If you could just leapfrog the holidays, maybe that. Hey, let's just take a break. You know, you go that way, I'll go this way, and I'll catch up with you in January. That's such a good cuddling month. I'll tell you, I mean, for a long time, just summer was the dating season for me. You know, that was a summer sport for me. You know, I just thought it was fun. You get out with someone, you do something. In the winter, you hibernate. You kind of want to be left alone. That's how I'm wired. And I would be a procrastinator, and it would get to be, Thanksgiving would roll around. Hey, I want you to come, because now you've been together for several months. Hey, I want you to come meet the family. Oh my God, the panic, the lump in the throat, and then you have to start the exit strategy right there. Yeah.
Man, it's a hamster wheel I'm thrilled to be very, very long removed from.
Yeah.
Just hearing when we hear stories, we all laugh, but I just get a little sweat on the brow. Just think, oh my God, I'm so just relieved.
Of course, if you're on the fence, then then you find out. So now you've been dating for several months.
Sure.
And here come the holidays. I wonder if he's the one. You'll find out the holidays. I mean, that's trial by fire right there.
Hey, I'm going to stop by after work. Got something to share with you. And you're thinking, oh my God, he's got a holiday getaway. He's planned a romantic getaway just for the two of us. I'm leaving you. Boom. That's rough, man. That is rough.
That is rough.
Hey, you can stream 92KQRS on your phone. You can listen anywhere you go. Search 92KQRS at the App Store. And then, you know what you can do? You can catch up with the Morning Show podcast. We have a good time on a daily basis. We actually have some interviews occasionally where we all learn something. Anywhere you get podcasts, anytime you want, you can listen to the KQ Morning Show. That podcast is sponsored by our dear friends
at Devani's.
There it is. Devani's Pizza and Hot Hoagies. Right on.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS. Gotta pay some bills and play some tunes. The KQ Morning Show will be back. 92 KQRS.
Sorry.
What?
I was out late at Steve's dumb event last night.
Was dumb.
You were out late at my dumb event, and then you decided to put the wrong thing at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. We've all made mistakes. Not me, but we all have. It's the morning show here at the KQRS radio station. I'm Steve Gorman. It's Tuesday, December the 5th. And night before last, just a little over 24 hours ago, in fact, up in Lowry Hill, a cougar was walking around the neighborhood. Security cameras at private residences, homeowners checked their footage and found a very large predator, cougar, a literal mountain lion, a puma, a lynx, whatever you want to call it, a cougar walking around Minneapolis, which is kind of crazy. If you see that bad boy, just keep your distance because, the cats they're not kidding around. They're pretty serious. And in fact, I just saw this story. A man in Siberia, that's not a part of northern Minnesota, like Siberia over in Russia. He lives in a village called Obor, and a Siberian tiger came into the village and took the guy's dog. Attacked his dog and ran off with it. The guy ran into his house, grabbed his rifle, and tracked the Siberian tiger for hours through the woods, found it, and the tiger killed him too. They found the guy's body next to the body of his dog deep in the forest.
Well.
So don't mess with the big cats. That's the lesson for the day. What a horrible thing. And by the way, that leads me to believe there's another story we might want to get into a little later, but you can never give a dude enough credit for thinking I can take down a Siberian tiger. Mm-hmm. I'll handle this.
It's a great holiday story.
Are you a tiger tracker, really, by trade? No, you're just going to go out there out of anger over your missing dog? Good luck to you. Yeah, guys, we think we can do it all. We really can't. But one thing we can do, and I know that's true, is we can give away some damn hockey tickets, ladies and gentlemen. The Minnesota Wild are playing the Calgary Flames next Thursday, December 14th at the XL Energy Center, and we've got tickets to give away. I'm very excited about that. I know Candace is excited.
I'm very excited.
Tony and Zepp are excited. We're all excited.
Yeah.
Tony, how are we going to do this today? What's the game?
We sure enough going to have some fun.
The KQ Morning Show presents.
A chance to loosen your tongue. Celebrate with coworkers. Get to.
Oh, you
Tony
know.
was out late last
I was out
night,
late
too.
last night at the
Man.
dumb Steve thing, and I pushed the wrong button because Steve is dumb.
We got to have more dumb Steve nights. You guys are awful today. Just a grease fire.
Well, you know.
Shake it off, champ.
Fun.
There's always another at bat.
Fun breeds incompetence.
It's the good thing about baseball.
Let's give this another run because it's just pure merriment.
The KQ Morning Show presents.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Oh, that's more like it. Wild Ticks hockey time. How about some hockey-centric trivia? Just some good old-fashioned multiple-choice hockey fun.
Why not?
How about it?
Man, that's going to work. That's totally going to work. I'm excited. We've got 2 callers ready to play. 2 callers who hopefully were not at the Stupid Steve event last night. They can focus. Candace, who's contestant number 1?
Andrew from White Bear Lake.
Andrew, good morning.
Good morning.
Are you a hockey fan?
I am a big hockey fan.
I'm glad to hear it, brother. You're going to need to lean on all that hockey knowledge to win What the Puck. So we're going to get started. I wish you all the best, sir.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Number 1. Pucks are actually frozen during games for this reason. A, to keep the pre- and post-game Powerade drink coolers crisp and refreshing. B, to keep them from bouncing and going airborne, injuring players and fans. Or C, to be used as a cold compress on incidental injuries from fights on the ice.
I'm going to go with B, to prevent bouncing.
Correct.
That is correct, sir.
Isn't that interesting? I didn't know that.
Wow. Okay. See,
Yeah.
we're already learning, which means we're already living.
Number 2, the NHL's emergency goalie rule means goalies must also be trained in CPR and EKG mobile units in case of emergencies. B, when a team has no available goalie on the roster, they can call in a backup from a list of goalies in the area. Or C, the emergency goalie is high maintenance, and the team has to be aware that they're going to overreact to every little situation. What say you?
I'm gonna go with A.
Oh,
No, sir.
man.
Yeah, the emergency goalie, they can call in a backup goalie from a list of goalies in the area.
Every so often, there's a story of a guy getting a call saying the Blackhawks need you in goal tonight. And he's like, what? I'm making tacos. That happens. Crazy.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
All right, number 3, the Hockey Hall of Fame is located in A, Bemidji, Minnesota, B, Toronto, Canada, or C, Sao Paulo, Brazil.
I think the Hockey Hall of Fame is in Toronto.
Yep, tis. Number 4, what player was nicknamed
Brazil.
the Golden Jet? Was it A, Joe Namath, B, Gump Worsley, or C, Bobby Hull?
That would be Bobby Hull.
It would be. Good job. And your last one, what is offsides in hockey? A, when the sides just feel vaguely a little off. B, when both of a player's skates completely cross the red zone, attacking zone blue line before the puck crosses it. Damn it. Or C, when a neutralized cross-check develops into a second-line tumble face-off. I think you know what it is.
That would be B.
Yes, thank goodness for you.
Man.
All right, you did very well.
Andrew,
unlike
solid.
Me.
4 for 5.
Nice.
And you didn't garble your words once. Well done, sir. Let's shake it off, Tony. It was a complicated explanation.
It was. It was a verbal nightmare.
The only thing worse than describing hockey offsides is soccer offsides.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
it.
good luck.
Okay, so Andrew, 4 for 5. Very strong start. Candace, who's contestant number 2?
Steven from Minneapolis.
Steven, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Hockey fan?
Hockey fan, absolutely.
All right. Did you ever play hockey?
I don't want to talk about it.
That's
Okay.
probably best. I'm going to trust your gut on that one. All right, well, let's go. It's time to play What the Puck. Good luck, sir.
Let's go. Number 1, he played in the NHL with the Minnesota North Stars as a defenseman, served as general manager, and is a member of the Hall of Fame. Is it A, Captain Lou Albano, B, Lou Malnati, or C, Lou Nanny?
Lou Nanny.
Yes, sir.
Bum, bum, bum. Well done.
Ever enjoyed a Lou Malnati deep dish in Chicago?
Oh, yeah.
That's good stuff.
It is good stuff.
Number 2, the championship trophy awarded to the NHL champion is named after A, Lord Stanley of Preston, Governor General of Canada, B, Stan Laurel of the comedy duo Laurel and Hardy, or C, Lord Baltimore, a Native American tracker in the film Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
How about the first one?
How about it?
Bam!
Lord Stanley, that is correct. Okay, what is icing? A delicious topping to a pregame brunch Cinnabon. B, a Zamboni making 4 passes over the center line while the crowd shouts a victory chant. Or C, an infraction when a player shoots, bats, or deflects the puck over the center red line, and opposing team's red line, and the puck goes untouched without scoring a goal.
That's what it is, the last one.
That's what it is. It is what it is.
Damn straight.
What is a hat trick? A, the scoring of 3 goals in the game by one player. B, a devious move by a dishonest embroidery employee to stitch the wrong team's logo on a ball cap. C, the superstition tradition of tossing an octopus onto the ice.
The first one.
It is.
4 for 4, Steven. This is it. This is for all the marbles, or in this case, 2 hockey tickets.
You can do it, Steve-O. With 24 titles, the most Stanley Cups have been won by this team. A, the Charleston Chiefs, B, the Montreal Canadiens, or C, the Minnesota Fighting Saints.
It's the Habs.
Wow. Sure it is. Steven ran the table. 5 for 5. Well done, sir.
Very
You, my friend, have picked up tickets next Thursday night, December the 14th, XL Energy Center, Wild versus Flames. Andrew, 4 for 5, almost always enough for the win, but not quite today. But you are picking up a prize for yourself. That's a 4-pack of tickets to Glow Holiday Festival. Open select dates now through New Year's Eve at CHS Field. Gentlemen, thank you both for playing. Congrats.
Thanks.
You got it.
Boys.
The Habs, the House of Hockey, Montreal, the Forum up there, Montreal Forum. Went there in 1990 as the opening artist for Robert Plant on tour. First time walked into the building, and I'm like looking at all the flags. I'm thinking, man, this is amazing to be in this venue where the Habs have, just run roughshod over the league for all these decades. And there was an usher strike in the building going on that night. And so what that meant was there was no one to tell anyone where to sit.
Oh, great.
And they had seats laid out in line, like on the ice is covered, the rink, where the rink would go, and it's just seats all in rows, and there's no one working the event, like no dudes in red jackets to help you find your seat. So the fans, as they all went in, they just turned it into a general admission show. They just got rid of all the chairs. So they would stack them, they just pile them up, and then about 5 or 6 different clumps of people. Not only did they stack the chairs, they tried to see how high they could stack chairs and how high somebody could climb up and sit in it.
Oh, great
This
idea.
is happening during our set. We're watching people who are not Cirque du Soleil performers climb stacks of, like 10, 12, maybe 20 chairs stacked on top of each other. And every single one of them would eventually tilt, and that guy would just go tumbling into the crowd. Oh, God. And the whole time we're like, this is pretty cool. This is all right.
Cool.
Yeah. It was like watching acrobat training from the stage. Fascinating.
Great noise, too, of the collapsing chairs.
Sure. The Quebecois, they love a good strike up there. I will not usher you to your chair. No, I will eat my putain. My putain. My French teacher told me, he said, you have a great accent. It sounds like you're more from Montreal. Probably just something he says to one kid every year just because you're not that good at it. And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. So for a little while, I had this affinity for the Quebecois. In 7th grade, I was like, I think I need to go to Canada.
That's what you were going for.
Because a strange man told me I had a good French-Canadian accent. I never made it. The first time I made it was that night with Robert Plant. What are you going to do?
That is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, on to other things.
I don't know. Is Zepp around?
Is Zepp with us?
He's being elusive, a cougar.
Haven't heard a word from the man.
Weird.
That is weird. Been sitting here doing my usual chuckling and clearing my nose like that, as I do when we're on the air.
Haven't heard a word.
No.
Haven't heard a chuckle. Haven't heard a snot. Nothing.
Yeah. No, that was on me.
Yeah, these things happen.
I didn't. I've got a button over there that I didn't hit.
Yeah.
Now it's red.
Yeah,
now we're hot. Sorry about that.
The rest of us are hitting on all cylinders, so I can't believe that happened.
Well, it was that stupid thing Steve made me go to last night.
I'm totally up for planning once a month Steve's Stupid Night Out. We could just make this a thing.
Fine.
That does sound like fun.
Actually, since I've been here a year and we just did it once, let's just do it once a year. Once a month is way too ambitious for me right now.
It's weird. I could have swore that one of the contestants, Steven, responded to me, but so he couldn't hear me either.
No, not a peep.
Well,
the holidays.
That was my holiday gift to you all.
Interesting you say that, because as this is the holiday gift season and we're all spending crazy money, 4 quick tricks to help you save money during the holidays. You're ready for these? Use the 10-second rule, which is not if you get it off the floor within 10 seconds, you can still eat it. No, it's if you're about to buy something, hold it for 10 seconds and ask yourself if you really need it or if that money could be better used on something else. Or just be a Grinch. That's the other option. 10-second rule, please. But for stocking stuffers and things like that, it's very helpful because you do tend to get carried away when you're buying little inexpensive gifts. It's very easy to go, oh, it's only $7. Oh, it's only $11. It's only 99 cents. And then you look up and you're $100 in the hole. Here's another one. Go cash only. And I'll just come right out and say it. That's not going to happen. I'm not going cash only. Sorry.
Where do you get cash at these days?
There's they still have ATMs in gas stations. I know that
Monopoly.
much.
Yeah, no. Every once in a while, I can. I think I withdrew $100. I was on the road recently. I need a little cash. I got $100 in my wallet, still there. I don't know if I'll ever spend it.
I do that anytime I'm on a road trip. If I'm going anywhere, if I'm traveling, I always have to have just a little, 40, 60, sometimes $100. And I get where I'm going, and it's 40, 60, or $100. I mean, I never spend cash on anything.
I just like the feeling of having it, though.
Yeah, you gotta have
just
it.
Then I just eventually lose it. Hey, where'd that $100 go? No, we don't even pull wallets anymore. It's all on my watch. I just wave my watch in front of something, and they get all my information. And
I always have a little cash on me.
Yeah, a little cash?
Yeah, because you never know if you have to tip someone.
So that's what I'm going to start doing. I talked to a server recently, and I understand that they appreciate the nice tips, but they would prefer to have cash. So I was thinking about just taking the cash and leaving that as the tip. You've served a bunch in your life, Candace. Is that a cool thing to do, or am I just being stupid?
Yeah, it's cool, man. I like it.
Wait, I'm confused. You're saying leave. Oh, you're saying when instead of adding the tip to the charge card, you're saying leave it in cash. I've been doing that for years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard that from several people many years ago.
That's my resolution.
And I like to, and I love when you're filling out the credit card thing, and where it says tip, I just do a line like, no, I won't be tipping you, because I always imagine the person's going to open it and go, that bastard. Oh, there's a 20. I like giving them that. I can't believe. Hey, the yin and yang of life as a server. Last 2 tips. Last 2 tips really quick. Shop alone, and then also take fewer shopping trips. This is all both very easy for me. I hate shopping with anybody. Let's go to the mall. No. If I'm going to the mall, I have a list of things I want. I find out where they are. It's a targeted strike. I get in, I get it, I get out. I can't stand dawdling in shopping malls.
You're all business.
That's why they put a restaurant in there with a bar. Just saddle up to Applebee's.
I guess so.
Pick me up on the way out. Park on the Applebee's side or whatever they've got there.
Oh, you know what? My kids and I walked into a mall the day after Christmas, like 15 years ago. Here's a button for this segment. Here's another Robert Plant story. Walked into the mall, Green Hills Mall in Nashville, Tennessee, to return a couple of gifts. The sizes were off. And as we opened the door to the mall, who's standing there exiting the mall? Robert Plant. And I go, hello, Bob. And he goes, hello, Steve. And he said, look, hello, children. And they're like, hello. And we started chatting. And he had met Connell when he was a baby. And he said, I saw you when you were a baby. And Connell's like, oh, cool. And he kind of looked at me like, is that who I think it is? Because Connell had entered his first, at the age of 7, Led Zeppelin phase. And I was like, oh, yeah, it is.
Yes, that's great.
And then we chatted for a while. And he was very sweet. And he was also returning a gift. He just in the mall himself. And when he left, I said, I said, kids, that was Robert Plant. He was in Led Zeppelin. And they're like, oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Like 6 months later, we're in Toronto on tour, hotel lobby, and Robert Plant walks in. Like, hey. And he comes over and he goes, hello, kids. Hello. Blah, blah, blah. We chat. And then he leaves. And I looked at the kids and I go, you guys know who that was, right? And Marley, who's my daughter, well, let's say this is 2008. She was 6. She goes, Led Zeppelin guy? I go, that's right, Led Zeppelin guy. She's like, yeah, he's cool. I like him.
No, he's your holiday elf.
Yeah. Led Zeppelin guy?
You think he was returning Jimmy Page's bread maker he got him?
It could have been.
When he was returning.
Could have been.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't do rye pumpernickel. It's just sourdough. Deal with it. Accept it.
Jimmy. Jimmy's wondering where his bread is, man. Robert never bakes any bread for me. We're going to keep the holiday extravaganza rolling here. I'm on the 92 KQRS Facebook post this morning talking about holiday party disasters. I forget our caller earlier, a couple hours ago. That was pretty wild.
Chris from St. Cloud, I'll never forget. I'll never forget.
In her mouth. A coworker puked in her mouth. Lori, they experienced a food fight with buns and grapes, and someone's holiday tie got cut off with a steak knife. There's some fun stories on here. We'll get some more of those. If you have a holiday party disaster story, don't be selfish. Share it with us. It's the holidays, for crying out loud. Our talk and text line, 651-989-ROCK. And not just the holidays, time for the end of the year wrap-up stuff. The word of the year is out. That coming at 8:30. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show, Tuesday, December the 5th. My brother Tom has a birthday today. When I was, 6 years old, I was 5 years old, I won a door prize at a community college basketball game. It was a Bee Gees album called 2 Years On. My oldest brother, Bob, was playing for Anne Arundel Community College in basketball. Went to the game, and they called out at halftime. They said, we've got a prize to give away. Ticket number, whatever the number was. And I was holding that ticket. I was like, holy crap. And I walked down the bleachers to the scorer's table right there on the side of the court, and a college kid handed me an album by the Bee Gees called 2 Years On. That album had Lonely Days. That was the big single of that album. And I looked at it, and I was like, oh, my God, I have my own record. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And I went back and I sat down and I wanted to leave. I was like, I got to go home and listen to my record. I want to go home and listen to my record. Because we had a record player. We had a bunch of albums, but I never had my own until that moment. I got home. I put on that album, 2 Years On, and I played it 1 gajillion times over the next month. Every day, all day, I just sat in front of the speakers and listened and listened and listened. I was obsessed. So the stereo at the Gorman household was downstairs. This is Severna Park, Maryland. It was in the same room where the pool table was. So we called it the pool room. That was what that room was just called. So I'm in the pool room listening to the Bee Gees obsessively, and Tom comes down one day and he goes, I can't hear the Bee Gees anymore. He's like trying not to rattle his teeth in rage. He goes, here, play these. And he handed me Meet the Beatles, Help, and Rubber Soul, his copies of 3 Beatles albums.
Life changed.
Yeah, truly. And I went, okay. And I put them on, and I was like, oh, my God. And the first time I put on Help first, because I'm looking at the covers. Rubber Soul, of course, scared me. It's weird. They look a little out of sorts. I don't know. They look like hippies. And then Meet the Beatles looked a little too fresh and sunny. But Help was great. They were like making those funny, they were standing in weird poses. They were on skis. It was a gatefold full of pictures. I was excited. I put on Help. And when the song Ticket to Ride started, I'd never heard it. I just immediately started air drumming to it. Like, I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just like, my arms just started going, I got to make those noises. I got to do what that guy's doing. And I kid you not, this is not a Lifetime movie where I stole this for. This is true. And from that day on, anybody that ever said, what do you do? What do you like to do? I would just say, I'm a drummer. That was it. Yeah, that's where it started.
Thanks to your brother.
So thank you to Tom Gorman, who today celebrates a birthday. The man, and then also a couple years later, not only did he hand me Beatles records, how cool was he? He had a band that set up and jammed in our garage. And I got to watch high school kids at the age of 6 and 7 play songs, current songs of the day. And then they set up in our front yard once and just put on a gig, and all the neighborhood kids sat in our front yard, and Tom and his stoner friends played like Grand Funk covers.
How freaking
were they
cool.
good?
Yeah. He's an influencer in your life.
To me, they were. They might as well have been Grand Funk. I couldn't tell the difference. I thought they were amazing. But man, but it was great. So anyway, happy birthday, Tom, and gosh, thanks.
All right, now since you brought up the Bee Gees, let's fast forward to their disco days. You guys remember the Office episode, Michael, and they're doing the CPR thing with staying alive, because you have to have 100 to 120 beats per minute. Well, the American Heart Association just released their list of songs yesterday that are perfect to perform hands-only CPR. It's a whole list of songs. If you want to check it out, the American Heart Association. But what I'm thinking, you're doing CPR on someone that's dying. You're trying, and it's going to be a party, dancing. You're going to be chuckling along with Lady Gaga's.
You know what I
poker
thought?
face.
You know what I thought, Zepp? If you're in that situation and you're trying to get someone's heart going again, your adrenaline will be flowing so that you will not be able to maintain a solid tempo in your head. You're going to hear dance girl like, "You were the dance queen, young and mean, 17. Come on, breathe. We're going to party like it's 1999." You're going to be racing. There's no way you can keep yourself at 120 beats per minute.
I just realized out of the four of us, you're the one that can't drop. You're the one that has to do the CPR. You're the beatkeeper.
I'm good. This is it. I can play drums, I can talk, and I can keep a good steady time with CPR. Otherwise, pretty useless. Speaking of the Bee Gees, Barry Gibb over the weekend was honored at the Kennedy Center. You know, the Kennedy Center honors, they always air the night after Christmas. Barry Gibb went in over the weekend. I will be watching. Make no mistake about it. I'm still, and by the way, I rode through disco with the Bee Gees. Now the Beatles became front and center, but always right off to the right hand of the father sat the Bee Gees in my musical landscape. So still very much Team Bee Gee, and even and especially now the disco era, because those tracks are incredible.
Now those Kennedy Center honors, we all remember Ann Wilson of Heart getting up and doing Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah,
incredible. For Led Zeppelin when they were, and they always have those moments at the Kennedy Center honors. I wonder who's going to get. Do you know who's on the? Who's going to get up and sing us a Gibbs song?
I don't know. I was just trying to think who that might be, but nothing came to mind. If you ever go back to the year 2000 and you see the Chuck Berry induction when he was entered in, the house band, look for the guy in the tuxedo playing tambourine.
Is that you?
You damn straight it was.
You son of a gun.
Oh, yeah, man. I was up there rocking Steve Jordan on the drum kit. Me standing there with a tambourine and a goofy Gomer Pyle grin on my face. This is the coolest thing ever, man. Holy crap. I'm playing tambourine at the Kennedy Center.
I know.
By the way, highlight of the Kennedy Center honors when I was there, and today of all days to tell the story, today is the birthday of Little Richard. And Little Richard was part of the Chuck Berry induction as well. Yeah. And he performed, as you might imagine, quite wonderfully. But at the rehearsal, so just to set the scene, as long as we're here, a couple nights before the actual event, we have a rehearsal, and we walk into the room, and Don is there. The Black Crowes were working with Don, and he was the house band leader, so he got us involved in this. We go in, and so Chuck Berry is being honored, and they have three of us from the Black Crowes, the B-52s, and Little Richard, all being a part of the jumping up for a song to honor Chuck Berry. And so we're all in the room together. Steve Jordan's there, a handful of musicians you've seen. Just a cool vibe. Everyone's just chilling. The B-52s are the funniest, greatest people in the world. We're all just thrilled to be there. And then the door opens, and Little Richard walks in. And he doesn't really walk in. He glides in in full. The only time in my life I ever thought the word fanfare actually applied. Like, look at the fanfare. Like, he's by himself, but he just acted as if he were with an entourage of courtesans and stuff. And he comes in, he goes, "How's everybody doing?" He's just full on Little Richard. And the mood in the room immediately just explodes because everyone's like, "Oh my God, he's real and he's right here." It's a socket, it's fork in socket for everyone. Yeah. And, everyone is like, everyone's cutting eyes at each other, like, "Oh my God, there he is, he's here." And he sits down at the piano and he goes, "So what are we going to do? You guys working on the arrangement? Blah, 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 blah." He's just running a mile a minute. And then he looks over and he spots Chris Robinson, the singer in my band, the Black Crowes, and he goes, you won't remember this, but we met years ago. And he looks at me and he goes, you were there. And Chris and I had met him in 1990 in an elevator. And 10 years later, he said, you won't remember, but we met. And I'm like, how the hell do you remember? Anyway, you think I don't remember riding an elevator with Little Richard? But he goes, you boys did that Otis Redding song. You did it so well, so great. And he goes, Otis was like my little brother. And we're all like, okay, please, Little Richard, tell us Otis Redding stories. And because they're, Macon, Georgia guys together. And he said, he's sitting at the piano, and Little Richard starts to play the Otis song, These Arms of Mine. And he starts to sing it. And I kid you not, if your eyes were closed, you would have thought it was Otis Redding. He didn't imitate him, he channeled him.
Yeah.
And he goes, These arms of mine. And didn't sound at all like Richard. Sounded dead like Otis Redding. And everybody, no one's blinking, no one's breathing. All these musicians who've all done all these amazing things, everyone's just staring at him in total disbelief. And he goes, yeah, lonely, lonely for you, and if you would let me. And he's singing and singing, and then he just stops. He goes, oh, y'all don't want to hear any more of that. And everybody goes, no, please. And of course, leave him wanting more. He wouldn't do it again. And we were all like, please. And then, of course, we're like, well, can you do Sam and Dave while you're here? What else you got? And he was laughing, and he just went on about his business. And it was like it was a 25 to 30 second moment of time that felt like 1 second and it felt like an hour, all at the same time. And when he got up and left the room, because we all stayed around, we were all there for an hour or so. When he finally left, it was like everybody could let their gut out. You know what I mean? Like, everybody was like, oh my God, could you believe that? Because we couldn't all freak out while he was still there. And it was just the absolute pinnacle musical moment of all time.
My quick answer to any time someone says, greatest rock and roll singer of all time, Little Richard.
It's
Boom,
true.
Quick.
It's true.
Little Richard, I Am Everything. That's the documentary that's out about Little Richard.
Yeah.
I think I saw it on Amazon. You can find it in a variety of places, maybe on Max as well. You will enjoy the hell out of it. What a man. Candace, I'm going to send you this YouTube video. You don't have to get very far in, less than 30 seconds. There's Chris, the Black Crowes, Chuck Berry on stage, 2000 Kennedy Center Honors. And brother, you cheated us a little bit. You said you're up there with the tambourine. You didn't mention the tambourine and maracas. You're double teaming.
Hey man, I'm doing what I can.
You've got the tambo and the maracas going. Long flowing hair. That's not nearly as gray as it is now. Yeah, you're cutting it sharp. Sounds good, looks good. We'll get up on the KQ Facebook
And make
page.
no mistake, at the moment that was shot, just blindingly hungover from getting drunk with Don Rickles the night before.
That's rock and roll.
Literally the greatest weekend of my life. Don Rickles and Little Richard. It could never possibly top that.
It's the greatest weekend of my life. I wasn't even there. Steve, you mentioned a story. Oh, by the way, the word of the year, Riz, short for charisma. It's anticlimactic. It's a dumb story. I didn't want to do it anyway. Riz, charisma, fridge, refrigerator. Get it? We'll move along. Steve, you mentioned a story earlier this morning about a guy who went after a tiger that killed his dog, only to join his dog's fate. Tiger got 2 meals that day. There's a great survey about things men think they can do. And you know what? I think I can do some of this stuff. I really, really do. We'll dig into that here at 9 o'clock. If you have a story, and I'm talking to you, ladies, about a guy, your hubby, boyfriend, dad, brother, who thought they could do something and failed historically, we want to hear about it. 651-989-ROCK is always the talk and text line. We'll get into that at 9 o'clock. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is December the 5th. It is 9 in the morning. Good morning. Holiday parties abound. Holiday festivities all around us. We've already heard some great nightmares from people's holiday parties past. Still hoping somebody can top Chris from St. Cloud, who called in to say, at a holiday party 6 years ago, a coworker walked off the dance floor and immediately projectile vomited into Chris's purse and into Chris's mouth. That was
can't top that.
That was one of those phone calls you just don't really you just can't imagine it's going to come, and then it does. Boy.
Christmas magic.
Yeah, the holiday parties, Christmas magic. There's a lot of magical thinking out there this time of year. That the world will be at peace. We'll make up with our family members we've alienated. We're going to find true love. We can land planes. A lot of magical thinking out there.
I bet I could, though.
See? I know I know you do. I know you do.
Keep the nose up, right? Flaps down. I need somebody in my headphones, right?
You do need a little help. Last year in Florida, a twin-engine plane in Florida, the pilot passed out, had a heart episode, and literally passed out. And the guy flying with him jumped into the seat, got on the headphones, and was talked down by a flight instructor who happened to be working at air traffic control that day, and literally landed the plane safely. It's a small plane, a twin-engine plane, but, this is not a jetliner. And, of course, when that happened, it just brings the entire story right back up like, hey, do you think you could land a plane if you had to? And every time this poll goes out there, the overwhelming majority of men in America go, oh, yeah. Yeah, I sure could.
Yeah.
They think that they could jump up if you're on a flight, you're flying from Duluth to Dubuque, and all of a sudden you hear the flight attendant. Does anybody know how to fly the plane? And you just see the hands go up, and you'd watch all these guys like they're entering a saloon in an old Western. They'd slowly stand up. I'm going in,
ma'am.
It won't work. It won't end well. Okay, but guys, crack me up because I've thought about it. Like, well, no, I think I could stay calm, and if I could follow instructions, it's just so much more complicated than just that. Autopilot while in air, sure, but landing's a very different thing. And of course, all these pilots come up and they go, "Yeah, no chance. There's not nobody I know that's not trained is ever going to land a plane safely."
That's what they want you to think. That's job security.
I guess. Well, that's probably very true too. But like, literally, ask a dude. Say, "Hey, man, could you hit a home run at Target Field against Twins pitching?" And they'd be like, "Not a chance. There's no way." Okay, well, you think you could run an out route and beat like the Vikings DB and score a touchdown? They'd be like, "No. I mean, I'd love to." Do you think you could score on LeBron James? No, probably not. Not if he was playing hard. Could you win a NASCAR race? No, I mean, I'd try, but no, not a chance. Could you perform open heart surgery? God, no. Can you land a 7-foot? Yes, I can. Like, there's something about that where we just all think we can do it. Why? What is that about us? Why are we that stupid?
It's mechanics, It's because we're all hot rodders behind the wheel, right? Frustrated NASCAR drivers or that kind of stuff, and it's equipment. It's I bet we could. I hope when we take our next KQ trip, we fly and something goes terribly wrong with the plane. I'll show you guys. By the way, I've been playing a video game. It's very like flight simulator stuff. I'm just saying, I'm halfway there.
Well, okay, fair enough. I'll give you credit. You've got the jump on me for sure. I just think it's funny that, like, all the things I just asked, if you ask a guy, could you do this?
Yeah.
Like, could you hit a home run? Could you pull someone's tooth? There's no lives in the balance. But, yeah, no, I couldn't do it. How about 312 souls behind you in a plane? No problem. I got it.
Yes. Give Everyone me that, be quiet.
Give me that joystick. I'll bring this bad boy down. It just cracks me up. I laugh because I'm one of those dudes. I could talk myself into it.
Really?
Yeah.
I will say this. I'm not saying I could land a plane, but I am arrogant enough to think, well, better me crash this plane trying than someone else. Like, I give us a better shot, maybe? I don't
crash
know.
this plane for everyone. Calm down. That's because you'd be about 3 cocktails in when they needed a pilot. I got you. No problem.
I would just want to know where they keep the parachute.
Man, really?
How to open the door.
There's not. There's that seat cushion.
Hold that up.
Float. There's a comedian, I forget who it was, with that great. I love they have you buckle your belt on the plane. As if the thing crashes, the seat belt buckle is going to somehow save your life. No, they just want to find the part of your body with the wallet in it.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Like an ID you.
Man, the only time I've ever been on a plane where I never had a thing where I thought someone has to fly this plane, but I will say, I just remembered this. The first time I flew after 9/11, when I boarded a flight, every dude on that plane looked up. Everyone made eye contact with everyone.
Oh.
And everyone
suspicious.
Everyone locked in like the nod, like, you good? You good? Yep, I got, we'll do whatever we have to do. And I mean, that's not a punchline or a funny story. It was a real moment of just collective. I can't believe this is the world we live in now. It was crazy, but it was a really charged thing. I just remember walking down the aisle of that plane and just going, wow, we're all strangers and we're all looking at each other to make sure we'll all jump up and handle business if it need to be handled. That was awful. Crazy time.
Yeah,
and then now all these years later, I'm like, I think I could bring us in. Sure.
One hand.
I think it'll work.
Do a barrel roll while we're up there.
It is the only thing that strikes me as being harder than flying a plane would be flying a helicopter.
Yeah, no, that sounds crazy. And I almost was a helicopter pilot, which would have been disastrous for me. That's what I originally went in the Army for, but I got into a little trouble. And I got bounced out of the WAF program, the Warrant Officer Flight Program, and they made me a grunt. But, I was thinking that same thing, too. When we got in there initially, I'm like, wait, what? There's 2 sticks? And, that seems complicated, that whole whirly-bird thing. I can't even... And then years later, tried it with one of the remote control helicopters. Wham! Right into the wall. Wham! Right into the Christmas tree. So
when I've watched just like a YouTube thing about like how helicopters work, I'm lost immediately. I would rather... I would do better at robotic surgery, honestly, knowing nothing about either. The helicopter thing. So you were that was your idea? You wanted to be a helicopter pilot?
I tested it. I was going into it's called the WAF Pro, the Warrant Officer Flight Program, for the Army. Yeah. Fly the Apaches and all that good stuff. But, hey, there's a little scuffle at a bowling alley. And,
that's right. That's right. Yeah, I grew up right next to Fort Campbell. So the 101st Airborne Screaming Eagles, they got those Black Hawks. That's Black Hawk Down territory there.
That's some serious
Those
right
those
there.
Blackhawks are buzzing around all the time in my hometown. You just driving into town, you'll see them low and just cool and scary looking.
Right.
Yeah, they're intimidating looking.
They are. Yeah. And I went, a buddy, his dad brought us out one day, and we went to a firing range at Fort Campbell. We sat in bleachers in this giant field, and Blackhawks roared in overhead and took out buildings like a few hundred yards away with missiles. We watched it happen. Like a proving ground. It was incredible.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. I've been a passenger in several of them, but that's some power up there as well. And I have a bad sense of direction. I always thought about that too. I mean, I can't get north, east, west. I know they have instruments in there, but I just thought, probably best to keep me on the ground digging ditches.
Yeah, probably so.
I got this shovel thing, man.
Yeah, I saw another. I was at an Air Force base in South Carolina. Shaw Air Force Base. My brother was a newspaper guy in that town, Sumter, and he hooked it up so we could go out there. And we saw, you'll know, Zep, an A-10. That's a plane.
Yeah, the Warthog.
Yeah, the Warthog. We watched a Warthog demonstration. Same thing. They came in over our heads at very low altitude and fired their, what I'll call machine guns. There's a real name for them, but they were firing on these shacks across the field. Yeah. And when that gun would blast, it was the loudest thing I've ever heard in my life, and it sounded like God was unzipping the sky.
Yes,
it was the loudest noise and just beyond terrifying. I mean, it's so clear why they make those things as loud as they do, because it just scares the living crap out of everybody on the ground.
That Avenger, basically a Gatling gun. It's a A-10 minigun. There's in the nose of the plane, and that's for just mowing right through armor, through tanks.
Yep, that's exactly what they were firing.
And they have those two big-ass engines on there. It almost brings that plane to a stop in the air. That's how powerful that
And
that
I'm the
weapon
guy.
is.
I'm the guy who never had a thought in my life about joining the military. And then on those two occasions, when I'm watching a Black Hawk and an A-10 come in and shoot stuff, I'm like, I think I need to join the military. Like there's all that. It's all in me, all that stuff. But I guess the rock and roll bug got me first. But man, I was thinking, man, I think I need to fly an A-10 right now. I think I need to go be a real badass right now. Candace, do we have a caller?
Yes, Jerry from Becker.
Jerry, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Oh, great, brother. What do you got for us?
Well, I got a story about a helicopter pilot in Vietnam.
Okay.
He was my uncle. He served 4 tours. He told us he was only shot down 14 times. When he died, we found out it was over 40.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
And he also went in under heavy fire and saved his commanding officer and got the Distinguished Flying Cross.
Oh.
That's a guy that could land a plane.
40 times.
He he more or less had a death wish because his wife wrote him a Dear Jean letter.
Oh, real? So he just went out there every day like, oh, to hell with it. I'm throwing caution to the wind. I've got nothing to live for. I'm going to take this bird and do whatever I need to do. Wow.
Yep, and then did you see the movie We Are Brothers?
Yes.
That ending scene where the helicopter comes up over the hill?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was told by a gunner that rode with my uncle saying that was probably Gene.
Wow.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, wow, man. Yep. I'll tell you what, when I first got into the service in 1984, there were still a lot of Vietnam helicopter pilots hanging around. In fact, we were still using the Hueys back then, especially in training and basic and AIT and all that stuff. And those Vietnam, you knew when you got a Vietnam helicopter pilot because they were just, when you say a different breed of animal, but a different kind of crazy / confidence that I had met in my young life. They scared the hell out of me, and I just thought that's one of the coolest people walking the planet. Yeah,
man, that's some badass right there.
Thanks for sharing that, man.
Yeah, that's a heck of a call. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Imagine. God. And those helicopters come down. There are no soft landings, man. He crashed a chopper that many times. That's double tough right there. Yeah,
that's the real deal. We had a bus driver named Cowboy, and he had been a helicopter guy in Vietnam. He had some stories that are not mine to tell, but my God, they just mind blowing what people go through, especially 18 and 19-year-old kids go through. Yeah. When called up to serve. Hey, Chris Jericho's Rock and Wrestling Rager at Sea is back for its 5th installment, 5 Alive, and we're going to send one winner and a guest on the sold-out voyage. You will sail from Miami to Cozumel on the Norwegian Pearl for a 4-day adventure. On the boat, you'll have some of the best rock and roll, wrestling, comedy, live podcasts, paranormal explorations, and all-around outrageous moments, all in the middle of the ocean. Right now, text the national keyword cruise to 95819 to enter for a chance to win. 95819, text cruise.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is December the 5th. With about 15 seconds left in the song 2 Tickets to Paradise, the bass player goes a-walking, boy. He's like waiting. He looked at that producer and was like, I don't care. I'm going to bust out this sumbitch. I'm going to play some notes. I listen to it every time because it's a raging track. Like, you forget. You put on headphones and crank up 2 Tickets to Paradise. It is cooking. And right there towards the end, I in my mind, I see the bass player look up and go, screw it, I'm going for it. He just starts walking that sucker right around the block. It's awesome. That just gets me excited. What can I tell you? John Mellencamp gave an interview in Esquire. Zepp, you mentioned you sent this morning. I'm just going to read one quote from John Mellencamp, and if anyone has any insight, please let me know. I am the luckiest MFer in the world. I was born with spina bifida. I had my head cut off when I was 6 weeks old. This is a true quote. There were 3 other kids who had the same operation that day. They all died. I lived. One girl made it for a while. I used to see her at basketball games, but she was paralyzed from the neck down. Spina bifida is a condition, and apparently there was a procedure that was attempting to correct that. And he says, I had my head cut off. I don't know what that means. He's speaking very literally. Not completely off. I don't know.
He says it like it is. He's a blunt speaker. This is the guy that said on, I think it was at Letterman or Conan, hey, listen, I basically have 2 moods, okay and pissed off.
Yeah, that's the word on the street. This is a whole just a quote fest from Mellencamp. This is a great one too. If you're talking to a songwriter or a book writer, you're talking to a liar. That's what we do. We make things up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I like it. I interviewed him a couple years ago for the Steve Gorman Rocks radio program, and they just said, do you want to talk to John Mellencamp? I said, yeah, absolutely. They gave us 20 minutes. We talked for an hour, and he was just phenomenal. Just the most fascinating, just yapping, chatting. You would have thought, I think he forgot after a point that it was just that he was just talking. Like, we're just shooting. We knew if we had a few mutual friends, and that helped sort of set the mood. And then at some point, literally an hour in, I think it dawned on him, like, oh, wait, this is a radio interview. Because he was just in mid-story. He goes, hey, man, you know what? I got to go. That was it.
All right, that's cool.
For a minute there, he forgot he was talking to the man, the media. These things happen. Candace, we have a caller who has been waiting quite patiently for a while. Who we got and what's on his mind?
Rob from Andover.
Rob, good morning.
Good morning.
What do you got for us, brother?
With the military stories and stuff like that, when I was in the Navy, I was a jet engine mechanic. And part of our training, after boot camp, we went down to A school in Millington, Tennessee. And some of the instructors there, you were working back at that time with A4s and F4s.
Mm-hmm.
And we had some Marines with us at A school, and of course, so there was Marine instructors. So one of these instructors, he was telling us that the Marines, like from Vietnam, they were crazy, and as long as that plane could go airborne,
mm-hmm.
the panels could be flying off that plane, they would go up in the air.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Whew.
Hey man, they're there to do a job.
Yep. Yeah. We got to start up these F4s, and it was probably the biggest thrill of my life. I mean, that much power underneath you, it was incredible.
That's pretty awesome, man. When how long ago was this that you were doing this story takes place? When were you firing these bad boys up?
Back in 1985.
Yeah, right on. Still hear it, can't you?
What's that?
I said you can still hear those engines, can't you?
Oh, yeah, but, when I went on the duty, then, of course, I was working with the F-14s, and that was incredible.
Big fan of the Tomcat myself. Hey, thank you for the call, brother. We appreciate it. My dad was in the Marines. He served in between World War II and Korea. Nice timing, lucky timing for him. And he was a propeller mechanic, and he worked specifically on the Corsair. The Baba Black Sheep planes with the wing that kind of the curve. Yeah. Well, it's got like two panels and it has a little angle on it. The F4U Corsair. So those planes, we had model planes, model car. We were a model building group.
Oh yeah.
Not so much to sniff the glue like people I knew, but we were just actually making models. My brother Dave was a tremendous model builder, and he had a series of Corsairs. Anytime we'd see a Corsair, we just had to buy it. That's Dad's plane. Got to buy it. Got to have it. I had big ones. I had little ones. And when Baba Black Sheep hit NBC in the 70s, a story about men flying the Corsairs, it was like the Pope was coming to the Gorman household every Wednesday night. 7 minutes, boys. Get in here. We sat around and watched Baba Black Sheep together. Like, that was it. That was like our Monday Night Football, man.
You made it an event.
Was it Pappy Boyington?
Yeah, that's exactly
Robert
right.
Conrad.
We
knock it
are
off.
poor.
I dare you knock this battery off my shoulder.
Remember that song? We are poor little lambs who have lost their way.
And then Robert Conrad, he got beat by Gabe Kaplan.
Battle of the Network Stars?
Yes.
Battle of the Superstars.
Sure he did. That's right. Yeah, we would sit around.
He took that to his grave, you know it.
Of course.
And so my dad loved aviation. He wanted to be a pilot. That was his goal, dream in life. I think he didn't have the eyesight or something, because when he joined the Marines, his idea was, I'm going to go fly planes. Ended up, working on planes. It was close as he got. But we all went to air shows as a kid all the time. And so I actually used to know way more than I've forgotten a lot about the plane stuff. My brother Dave, however, to this day, he's a science teacher in Tennessee, middle school science teacher. He's obsessed with aviation, goes to air shows there. He goes to the one in Oshkosh every summer. I mean, he goes around. He has the circuit. Still obsessively goes. And I think that stuff's cool, but I just haven't been to one in so long. But anytime we talk about this, like these guys calling in with these stories, I'm like, man, I got to get to an air show, man. Those things are awesome.
We got a great one for you this next summer. We'll head over to the Flying Cloud Airport for their big air show, and they have a bunch of great World War II planes out there. It's a wonderful setup they have at Flying Cloud. I can't remember the date off the top of my head. I want to say July. Sorry if I'm screwing it up, guys, but we'll get that right before next summer. And it's fantastic, and maybe we'll get you up. I've been able to go up in several of those planes out there, including a B-17, an Avenger Grumman.
You got in a B-17?
Yeah, it's kind of a hobby of mine to get into these planes.
Is this a vomit story?
The vomit story was the F-18A. That was with a Marine pilot. The Blue Angels came to Sioux City, Iowa, and they unbelievably they allowed 3 media ding-dongs to jump in a Blue Angel. So this would have been Captain Ken Switzer. He would have been rotating in to one of the main 5 planes. So he's number 7. He comes in a day before and gets the media all whipped up. And my name was drawn. And I was the only one that showed. Out of all 3 people in town that were invited to go up to the Blue Angels, none of the other dumbasses showed up. I did, and I got out there and got to get into an F-18A and get up in the air. And, yeah, you bet your ass I puked. I just was like, go for it. Go for it, man. Keep doing it. And the last one was we were at about 3,000 or 4,000 feet and went up to, I don't know what it was, 15,000, 20,000 feet, doing 8 spins as you climbed. And, yeah, I don't know which spin it was where I got the tunnel vision and grabbed the barf bag, but it's certainly a highlight in my life.
Yeah, my oldest brother Bob went up with the Thunderbirds once, same kind of thing.
Yeah, wow.
Member of the media got invited. Shaw, he was in South Carolina at Shaw Air Force Base, and I don't remember if he threw up. I know he passed out. The guy totally blacked him out. Wow. But he did the training. You know, you got to work on how to get the blood down to your legs or from your brain. Yeah, all that stuff. He had gone through that. But he said the one thing I remember him saying was they take off and they blast it over to the coastline, like over Myrtle Beach, and it's just it's a couple of Blue Angels, and they're right next to each other. I mean, you're looking right out the cockpit, and there's another plane right there.
Oh yeah,
2 of them, and they're going south right along the coastline. So to your left is the ocean, to the right is is land, and the guy says, "All right, you ready to take this out over the water? Let's go." And so Bob goes, "I'm expecting to turn left." Well, they turned right and, gunned it. He goes, they did this power slide, turning all the way to the right until they came out over the water. And he said, man, when we came out of that, I thought, that's it. I'm done. And the guy goes, oh, no, we're just getting started, buddy. Sit back. And he goes, that just about blacked him out. And then, next thing you know, he's just completely bewildered and questioning a lot of life decisions.
Yeah, that's amazing. By the way, Air Expo Air Show Wings of the North that happened last July. It'll be coming up at Flying Cloud Airport again next July, and we'll give you a reminder and get you out there. You'll have a blast because we share that in common. First of all, if you walked into my bedroom, old farmhouse, probably had a 5-foot ceiling. I'm joking, obviously, but it was one of those low ceilings. But I hung all my
Beanie Babies.
All my beanie babies. All my little beanie babies from the ceiling. No, I was big time into the models. The F4 Phantom, we had our caller talk about. That was the first plane that I made, but plenty of Corsairs. And yeah, you would just bang your head on planes if you walked into my room.
Yeah, we had no shortage of those things, too. Yeah, same exact thing. Hang them from the ceiling. They're dangling. They were everywhere. Mm-hmm. All right, let's look back. It's time for a sports and music history lesson.
So what's up? We've got to bring in Gorman.
What happened to Gorman?
He's right here.
Yeah, he's right here.
Hey, Steve.
Oh, hey. What's up?
Yeah, I'm right here, guys. December the 5th, 2000, Karl Malone became the 2nd leading scorer all-time in the NBA. He passed Wilt Chamberlain on the list. Karl Malone, remember him? Yeah, no one does. The most forgettable superstar in NBA history. He left and nobody cared. He's just gone. 2nd leading scorer. Now the 3rd leading scorer of all time that LeBron James has become the leading scorer of all time. I mean, literally, the guy left the smallest footprint for an all-time, all NBA a dozen times at least, and no one cares. Just real limited player. I'm sorry, I never could stand Karl Malone.
Really?
I
get a sense of that in your voice.
I hated him at Louisiana Tech, and then I hated him with the Jazz. I go way back with him. Yeah. He just bugs me.
The KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.